Yo, what
Top of the morning to you.
Ooh, back at it.
Man.
Special day today, bruh.
Mr. Perkins' birthday.
2-2, bruh.
Like Taylor Swift's
Dose.
Regular day.
Another year. Simple man. Not a simple guy.
Simple man. No, that's crazy.
I support. How you feeling about your birthday, man?
Shoot, bro. 12 out of 10, bro.
Improper?
That's improper.
Very improper, bro. 12 out of 10, so I can't complain, bro. Great day today.
I support.
How about y'all, bro?
Me, probably like a, probably about an 8. Just probably some homework assignments I got to do. You know, we back into this flow of things in school, man. So being able to just, tackle that and be productive with my work. Otherwise, I'd be a 10. So
10 out of 10. Ain't got nothing to hold me back. Smooth sailing, man. School, God, chilling.
30 out of 30.
30 out of 30, man. Okay, we got a whole number, bro. We got a whole number, man.
30 out of 30.
Shoot, I got a question for y'all today.
Yeah.
If y'all don't mind answering this. I know we got some Christian viewers that watch this, but I know we also have a non-Christian audience as well. So the question I want to ask you guys is like why God? The simple statement of why God? Why did you decide to choose God in your life based off of some of the experiences that you guys had? And, how can you help share with the audience, help them understand why you chose God?
Oh man. So for me, I forget the word for it, but what I did is I searched up, I studied history. So I was someone who studied history and figured out, did the historical person, Jesus Christ, did he live? Did he die? And did he come back? And can we have that be proven with books that are not Bible-based books? You know what I'm saying? So literally history from that time and age. And so that's what I had done. I went on a 9-10 month thing late in my junior year of high school. And so my findings at the end of it is that I couldn't prove it to be false. You know what I'm saying? There were not enough things where I could say it didn't happen. The odds were highly in favor that it did happen. And so before I had started this, I said, if it's true, I'm gonna go fully in. If it's false, I can do whatever I want, chase money, girls, anything. And so again, like I said, I did my 9-10 month thing. I found that the odds were very high that it was true. And so, people always chase the odds. And so I chased that. And so then I got involved, I started getting deeper, started getting up in my bio by my senior year of high school. But then ever since I've been following it, and ever since I've been up in the Bible, praying, having deep conversations, talking to other Christians, that has been a game changer thing. It's changed my whole life upside down, you know what I'm saying? Because now I'm not in charge of me, God's in charge of me, and I'm submitting to him. And so that's what I did it. But again, not each person is like a history guy or needs to know, what are the basics to it. But something that I really enjoy about my personal story is once I got into it, it was a game changer.
Man, yeah. I kind of agree. I think I agree with the kind of the historical background with it too, kind of looking up, okay, was Jesus Christ real? Is he real? Is he still living today? And I think for me personally, it's more gotten to personal experience as well. And I think for me, it's kind of when you hit that rock bottom, find out Jesus is the rock at the bottom, And so I think, those times when you hit that rock bottom, it was man, I can't even save myself, where I can look at, Jesus, who somebody says, I can sympathize with your pain because I've been through that same thing, but to the highest extent. And so, and when I was younger, I always treated God like a life preserver, you know what I'm saying? I was only hey God, I need you, when I'm in trouble. But now it's been more God, I need you regardless if I'm in trouble, if I'm doing good or not, So I think it's just been more personal experience and actually going through things and going through hardships and trials to where I'm man, there's nobody that can say, I can't save myself out of this situation. There's no other human being that can save me out of this situation, except for God, and I've seen his power, and I've seen not only just in my life, but also in other people's lives as well, specifically y'all too as well, so.
Yeah, I think for me, why God is, kind of a mixture of both. I understood the historical evidence, when I was BC, my life BC, I didn't deny the fact that God was real. He just wasn't, real enough to be my Lord and Savior. And so it took me going through a lot of rough personal experiences where, I was at the rock at the bottom. I was chasing the money, the women, like you said, and I ended up getting to a place where I lost everything. And I realized I was trying to find all this fulfillment in all these wrong places, and I realized that, I wasn't going nowhere. I was going nowhere quickly. And so me losing all that helped me realize that, man, I don't want to keep living my life on this trajectory. I don't want to keep living my life on this path where clearly like these things are working. As much as I try and like pretend like it is, like clearly like by this evidence, it ain't working. So the personal experience is like calling on God, hey, I know that you're real, and I'm finally making a decision where I want to commit to you and for you so that you can be the real Lord and Savior of my life.
Yeah.
I like how you said that you're treating God like a lifesaver, life jacket kind of thing. Yeah, because I think a lot of people do, but as you change and learn more, now I'm treating God as if he's the captain of my ship. It's like I don't know how to steer. So it's literally my life. Like I don't know how to do things I haven't done yet. You know what I'm saying? So God now being the captain, he can steer the ship, but also I have to let him steer. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to have hold of it and to take control. You know what I'm saying? I'm trusting him. And so, you know, I think that's so key because I've been there too. I think a lot of us, especially a lot of people in high school and college age, again, kind of got that life jacket thing where it's like you only really need it if you need it, you know what I'm saying? But now being a captain, it's like you're kind of saying, yes, I need you on an everyday basis to steer some shit because I have no idea what the heck I'm up to.
Right. And I think even to hit on that why God point, I think is a hypothetical, right? Even if God wasn't real, right? I lived 2 years of being a Christian, loving others, forgiving, being broken from strongholds, you know, just breaking free from a lot of things where I couldn't have broken free, you know, myself, you know. And so it's like, man, like that's evidence that there's a God, because there's a lot of people out here that are not looking for God, but are hooked on these same things, or are not forgiving people, or are not loving people, you know. And so I think, man, like, you know, even if God is real, I still lived a life of peace, you know, and I can, you know, really, you know, if he ain't real, you know, whatever, and just in a hypothetical, I can be like, man, like, you know, I lived a peaceful life, man, just, you know, focus on, you know, the king, you know, so yeah.
I think, yeah, the question we asked ourselves is it bad? Like, hey, God wasn't real. You know, would I not mind living a life that included myself serving others, valuing others above myself, and committing my life to, you know, helping others around? Like, I think that's not a bad life whatsoever, even if God wasn't real. And I think on your point of the life jackets, I think the problem is some people just choose not to put the life jacket on in the first place. And so they get into a position where, you know, they're on this boat and then the boat crashes and now they're drowning and they're not even aware of a life jacket. And if there is a life jacket, they choose not to wear it on. They continue to swim. And, you know, you're swimming in the ocean, bro. That tide is strong, man. And sooner or later, man, you're going to get tired, man, and you're going to end up drowning, man. And so I was that guy who chose not to wear the life jacket. I was drowning, man. And luckily, God was like, here, I got a life jacket for you. You just had to call it. You just had to take it. You just had to put it on. And then I can help you get back to shore, man. And that's what I think was so beautiful about God is that, you know, you don't have to like come to him as like this perfect person, because literally he's not expecting you to be perfect. You know, God tells us to come to him as we are, man. That requires us to put the life jacket on as we are, man. A person that's broken, that's drowning, you know, in the midst of, you know, all the affliction, all the suffering, all the pain that you might be experiencing. Put the life jacket on and go to him.
And like you said, like it's a free gift that's there for you. And I think you can look on the flip side as well. Like if you're skydiving, somebody's offering you a parachute, you know, why not take it? You know, and I think, you know, a lot of people are not taking it just, you know, out of pride and, you know, out of their own like self-intelligence, when the Bible says, lean not on your own understanding, but trust God with all your heart. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, it's a pride issue. Like pride blinds us a lot, you know, from seeing the true wisdom in things and, you know, recognizing our weaknesses ourselves. Like we try to think that everything that we do, we're strong at it, or we can, you know, get better at it. But sometimes, you know, we're called to be limited in some areas, you know, and we talk about it all the time. Is just like, you know, different functions of the body of Christ. Like if I'm supposed to be a hand in the body of Christ, I can't be an eye and a hand at the same time. So yeah, man.
And I think that's real, because you spoke on the part of limitations. I believe all of us have our own limitations, whether we choose to see that or not, you know, that's up to us. But I think what's so beautiful is that, you know, God's power, his strength is shown in our limitations. It shows us that, hey, like I'm in need of a God who's all powerful, who's all knowing, who's everywhere at once, that's going to help me get through my limitations. And instead of me believing that I have limitless power, limitless capabilities, no, I'm a limited person. I need God to help me get through the situation that I'm in. And I think from personal experience, as a narcissistic guy filled with pride, and I always believed that I was above everybody else. And once I got to the rock bottom where I realized I had nothing, I realized, man, I got all these limitations in front of me. It was time for me to choose the limitless God, the God who has limitless power. And, you know, ultimately, he's shown me that his power and his grace is sufficient, man. I just had to like place that life jacket on, man. And I think the cool thing about that imagery of the life jacket is that once you place it on, you're allowed to breathe better. Because if you got it off, man, you over there try to swim and try to get up all the water and stuff. But you place it on, now you're floating, now you just lay back on your back. And essentially that is just the image of God taking the wheel in your life.
That's facts, that's facts. I also got a question for you. I wanted to know if there were any key things that you learned in this past year. You know what I'm saying? Another one around the sun, I think it's called.
Man, that's a good question. I think probably the biggest thing is just letting go of the past, bro. Letting go of the past. We talk about all the time is how you can't drive looking through the rearview mirror. And I think that I was focused on a lot of things in my past, which hindered my future, and so I'm trying to, let go of things, that happened in the past because they have no effect on my future, and so I think I'm just trying to go into things, just with a learner's mindset. Okay, like how can I live in the now? How can I focus on what's right in front of me instead of focusing on the past? And I think something that's also been like a pitfall for me is just like when I look in the past, it changes the way I treat people in the future. And I think like we talk about being in like relationships or something like that, and we focus on a past relationship that didn't go so well. So, for most people that hinders how they're going to treat people in the next relationship. And so I think that's something that is a habit that I had to let go of in this past year, not specifically in a relationship aspect, but just like leaving things in the past and letting them be what they are, and learning from them and, just kind of focusing on the future for sure.
It's real, man. Has that ever been an experience for you where you like looked in the past and where you maybe pondered on some things and that's kind of affected the way that you saw the future?
Yeah, so my experience was seeing the past, actually trying to learn from it. You know what I'm saying? I had my rock bottom point 2, fall 21. And so what I learned as I was at the bottom for a couple months, literally just sitting up at my parents' house every day, just chilling with didn't have friends or anything. My phone wasn't ringing. People didn't care really who I was. And what I learned in that is I took for granted the present I was in. You know what I'm saying? I was in, I have a present with so many things, with a different car, different girls, different money, all this. And so some were positive things that are cool and some weren't. I took it all for granted. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of thought this is going to be how it is forever. And I thought myself with no girl and no money or car or anything, you know what I'm saying? And so now what I do is, since I've had that past, it affects how I live each day, you know what I'm saying? Because I can enjoy each day because I know what's going to happen in it, but I can enjoy each day and just be happy that's here and live up in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Something that I do now is I really focus on the conversation that I'm in, because sometimes we're always rushed. You know what I'm saying? So maybe at store I'm rushed, but it's like, man, maybe I can have a conversation with someone, and I'm focusing on that. I've had great conversations. I've been able to encourage people, which I'm huge on. I'm huge on encouragement, and so I've been able to pause and wait and encourage people and listen to people, hear them out and stuff. And so I think we have two options as we look at the past. We can have it hold us back or have it push us forward. I'm trying to have it push me forward, not have it hold me back.
Right. I think that's so good, because you talk about pausing and, really living in the moment. And if you look at that word present, it's like present. And I believe that, God presents us the opportunity to look at the day for what it is. And he says, now what are you going to do with it? Are you going to choose to live in the past and think about all the decisions that you made and swim in a pool of what ifs? Or are you going to live in the now, man, and, walk across the shore and see what I have for you now? And so for me, in my experience, I've had the tendency where, I'm looking back at maybe some of the decisions that I made and I'm like, dang, like, I can't believe I did that. Or I can't believe I just, hurt these people, or like, what was I thinking back then? But, I believe that God is a God whose grace is abundant and his mercy is abundant. He's shown me that I don't have to live in my sin, but I'm a new creation inside of him. And so that's what helped me, push forward and look at the beauty of the present, which is now. Like the present, or also you can say present, which is a gift. Like we have it right here in front of us. And, me being able to look at it from the lens of, as a gift, not something that I shouldn't have, because, God's actually paid the price for me to actually have the one that I have right now, and to use it to steward him and give him the glory.
And that's good. I got a question for y'all, because I think, we're big on growth and just like, iron sharpens iron, we're big on that. And so I think, I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think is some keys for us to be better leaders, and I think that we're all leaders in our own right, and we just don't know who's watching us, So I just want to ask you guys, like, what do you guys think some key aspects that you guys have maybe seen or experienced as being a leader? How can somebody that's watching, grow as a leader in their own right?
You want to burst?
The first thing I think of is being a servant, you know what I'm saying? So I had a friend who was the manager at a eating place, you know what I'm saying? And so he came in on his first day, got the whole staff and said, hey, listen guys, I'm here to help y'all. I'm not here to be the top dog. I'm here to help each of you being better. And the success of that place skyrocketed because they knew he was on his side. He wasn't being a self-serving person, but rather being a servant. Mm-hmm. So I think of being a leader, I think of being a servant, because that's what people follow afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It's not this thing where it's I'm here and you're here. It's like, hey, we're all here, try to help each other all get here though. And so that's that first thing I think of, not being a self-serving person, but being a servant.
That's tough.
Yeah, and up on that lens, for me, I'm taking a leadership class right now for one of my business courses, and one quote that I read inside our textbook, it said that real leaders listen to others, right? People don't really care about what you know until they know that you care, and I think that's just so beautiful, that statement, because I've seen that manifest in my life, man. When I'm showing the attention to detail to actually be intentional with a person and listen to what they're going through, now it makes them more inclined to listen to me and any thoughts or any advice that I can give them by me showing that I care first. But if I'm somebody who's full of myself and is not looking to serve them, why would they listen to me? Like, why would they follow me? And I think we can always take that, note from, John 13, where Jesus is washing the feet of the disciples, man. Like, he says, you may not understand what I'm doing now, but someday you will. And that's just that act, the heart posture of serving others, man. It's like, people may not understand what you're doing, but if you're taking the opportunity to listen to others, man, and show that you care, man, maybe later on in the future it pays off when they might become leaders one day and they might be able to do the same thing that you did for them in their time.
Yo, going off of that, I thought of Jesus, you know what I'm saying? So Jesus was around thousands of years ago. Yeah, he's got the biggest following ever, you know what I'm saying? What did he do? He came and he was a servant. He was washing people's feet, you know what I'm saying? He was living homeless kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was doing it a whole different way. Something that I always say, that each of us isn't as smart as all of us, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of smart and he's kind of smart, you're kind of smart, but all of us together, now we're all going up.
Mm-hmm. That's real, man. I think for me, I would probably say number one would be stewardship. And I think, and then number two would be accountability. And I think to kind of connect those 2 points you guys talked about, like, there might be people that's watching us as leaders, and we have to, steward them correctly as well, because we can't, just, disqualify their ideas or disqualify their character because we try to, see ourselves as above them, and I think stewardship is key, and like accountability is key, because people that maybe you are leading keep you accountable as well. Because I can think like, the 12 disciples, like they kept each other accountable. They kept each other from, doing the right things and from not doing the wrong things, So it's just like, man, like, talk about who you hanging around, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like making sure you have that accountability around you and making sure that you're stewarding that group that God is giving you maybe to lead, the right way.
And up on that thread, I think it's important that we all have the accountability to know as leaders when to follow. We all have different gifts, especially in the body, man. Like you said, you might be a hand, you might be a foot. And if I'm a shoulder or elbow, man, like I have to be willing to submit to you and the gifts that you guys have. But if I'm, a shoulder trying to do things that a hand can only do, man, I'm not gonna get very far. So I think it's important that we know, hey, when we can lead in areas of our strengths, and also to submit in our areas of weakness, allow others that might be strong in that area to lead in that specific moment.
Something that he taught me is that accountability isn't someone checking up on you, but you telling on yourself. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm coming to you, giving you a call every week, yo, how's this? That's not gonna work. But if you come to me, yo, I struggled with this, that's real. I also think that that's a part of growth. You know what I'm saying? Because I think me doing accountability at the start of being a Christian, it was always someone checking up on me. But now that I've gotten better and kind of personal growth, it's me telling on myself, and then they can help me. They can build me up because I'm telling them my actual problems. You know what I'm saying? And maybe if someone's checking up on you, that they might be checking up on this problem, but your actual problem's this, and you can't tell them because you're so insecure about it. I say it's a lot, but as we stay open, we actually learn that other people have our same struggles, and that's how you can actually learn and get better, is by sharing them.
Man, that's real, bro. That's real. I think, I heard a quote, bro, earlier. I just lost it. Never mind. But no,
Let's come back around.
we'll come back around. We'll come back around.
Come back around.
I lost it. Have you ever? No.
Bro, why did mine go there, bro?
I didn't say.
Why did mine go there?
I was thinking for Pastor Allen the quote, but
You have been on fire.
Chill, bro. Chill.
nah.
We don't endorse that. Here.
You take it out anyway.
Yeah, take it out.
Let's hope so.
Take it out. But yeah, I lost my point.
Nah, you good, man. I think also on the key of like submission, man, like it takes us to be able to recognize, hey, I'm not all of that, I'm not, all that in a bag of chips. And I actually need to be humble from time to time. And I think walking in that heart posture of humility is key to being, any leader. One thing that I really respect and admire for the disciples is that, they were all grown men. They all had jobs. And, when Jesus approached them, he says, like, come follow me. It's like, in that moment, you can say, Jesus, I got a job. I got a wife and kids back in the crib. I'm good on that, man. But they were willing to follow a guy who they didn't know for 3 years, and to see the fruit of that was just so, amazing, because look at all the work that they did. Like you said, Jesus has his biggest following. It's because they were willing to follow him, bro. They were willing to submit to him. And I think when we allow ourselves to submit to God and to submit to those who he places in our life, man, there's a lot of fruit that can come out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, just kind of hitting up on like, man, like I'm not all that. And I heard a quote when he said, shame can be hidden or confessed, but it can't be both, And so I think it's like, man, choose a side, like pick one or the other. And I say, like, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a meta leader, you're the one that's supposed to confess your sin. Like James 5:16 says, confess your sins to others so you may be healed. So the things that you're going through behind closed doors that you come to confess, to that people that see like, hey man, this person might be just like me, and we talked about on a past episode is, taking that mask off, and I think when God presents us, a group to lead, we like to have that mask on, the same way how we like to try to come to God with the mask on. But it's just like, man, where does the growth in in the relationship with God and the relationship with those people come is when we take that mask off.
Some I think is that you don't really know who's kind of seeing you and seeing the actions that you're doing. Maybe that's on social media. Maybe that's in person. There have been multiple times where I was out in public. I got texted a couple hours later. Yo, I think I saw you here. Imagine if I was there acting a fool, bro. Just thinking, I don't know anybody here. I can do anything I want to. But man, like people are actually seeing you, and that goes for almost every single person. I think a lot of people don't see that they're actually a leader. And it's like, man, you got to keep that up in mind as you're, posting on the socials, maybe saying things in public, at work. I think of being up at work, you're showing what that company's about. In the same way, if you're on social media, you're showing what you're about. You know what I'm saying?
2 Corinthians 5:21 tells us that we are ambassadors of Christ. It's like we represent God everywhere that we go. Like you said, even though they might not be cameras following around us like we're like on a reality TV show, people are watching, man. So our actions are the greatest witness that we have, man. So it's important that we dial in and look at, okay, how am I living my life? And is this something that, if somebody put this on all the TV screens, or if somebody put this on every stage in the world, would I want people to see the actions that I'm doing in my life? If not, maybe you have to readjust and recheck some things, and also check in with your accountability so that you can be a person that's leading a life. No, don't matter that if people put it on the TV screen or if people put it on the stage, you can be, honorable, or you can be a noble person that people are wanting to follow when they see that.
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to fruit. Essentially, it's like, a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit. So I think it's the same thing, regarding our lifestyles. Like we can say something, but then when somebody sees the fruit that's being produced, then that really shows who that person is and how they're living their life, day to day. And I think if you want to know somebody, like ask them, what is their day-to-day lifestyle? Like, what are they doing day in and day out? What are their habits? What are, some things that they go through, on the daily basis. So, yeah.
And up on that thought, because you guys both mentioned confession, right? And being confessional is something that we pride ourselves as, 3 guys who are pretty close, and that's allowed us to grow in, the ways that we've been growing. And I think the only way that people are willing to confess their burdens to you is if you're a person who's safe enough to confess their burdens too, man. If somebody doesn't feel that they can trust you, or that you're somebody that really honors them, why would they share you with the information that they might have fallen, or the things that they might have done, or things that they might need help with? Like, the other day, you know, I got a text from somebody and he was just asking for some advice in some areas that he was struggling in. I was like, dang, the fact that he's willing to reach out to me for this area says a lot about what God has done in my life. And like I talked about me earlier, being a narcissist, being somebody who was full of myself, who was broken, but to see how God is a repairman who's fixed all this and allowed me to help, you know, partner with him and helping people lead them back to him. So I think that's just so cool. Be somebody that, you know, that's available in people's lives, that people can trust, that people feel safe around, so that when they do present these burdens to you, that you can be able to steward that in the right way.
You know, some that I've been thinking this whole conversation is we're talking about a lot about actions. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about saying words or something. We're talking about actions. Every single topic that we've ever covered here has been an action. And I think about being someone who leads. It's not, yes, it's important, the words that you say, but ultimately it's the actions. Why does Jesus have one of the biggest followings thousands of years later? Because of his actions, because of his love actions. You know what I'm saying? And so if we have these words that we're saying, and we're encouraging people, like, that's okay. But if your actions aren't backing up the words, man, the words don't matter. And so as you're a leader, as you're a person, as you're doing life, like, what are your actions saying about you or about the things that you're following? And so we got to be key on what action that we're having. Because homie came to him because he's seen certain actions, you know, certain ways how you treated people.
Yeah, bro, I think that's real, bro. Because I think even we tie it back to school, bro, when we were, I guess, freshmen in high school, we always looked up to that one senior that we all thought was cool. And so I think, like, man, you know, be somebody that your younger self would look up to. You know what I'm saying? And this was like, man, like, you think of your younger self, you're like, man, I looked up to this dude so much. Why? Because all his actions, the things that he was doing. So it's the same way. Like, be somebody you think your younger self would look up to, man.
Boy, that's tough, man, because and you really look at it, man, like, you looked up to those seniors because of, like, what they had and what the people did, and, you know, kind of just, like, the perception of them, man. And, you know, really, I think as believers in general, and the perception of us should be like, hey, you know, we're broken, man, but, you know, I'm willing to follow you as you follow Christ. Like Paul tells us, follow me as I'm following Christ, man. He sets a good example for us, man. So, you know, being somebody that who your younger self looks up to looks like those actions that you have. Am I going to carry myself in a way that, you know, my younger self might be, you know, I don't want nothing to do with this person in the future, right? Or am I going to be somebody that my younger self says, like, I can't wait to become that guy in the future? Like, be aware of the actions that you have right now, man, because it has an effect, not only just you and yourself, but those around you and how they view themselves and what they might become in the future as well.
And I think hitting up on that example is why we admired them so much, is because they talked to us as we were freshmen, you know? We were like, man, like, we always put that, like, social hierarchy in high school, but then we was like, man, like, these people all the way up here came to talk to us all the way down here, you know? And that's why we admired them so much. And we talked about, you know, Jesus being a servant. He talked to the lowest of the low. We talked about the Samaritan woman at the well, the lowest of the low viewed in society, you know? And that's the same thing that we saw as in these seniors when we were freshmen. Like, they treated us, man, like, hey, like, y'all regular people, you know? And that's the same thing that we should do as leaders, is not, you know, see people from that social hierarchy, but look at, hey, like you said, that one manager, like, I'm here to help y'all. Like, we're all on the same playing field at the end of the day. Like, let's sharpen each other.
Bro, he does such a big point, because the minute he said, you know, that we were all once as freshmen looking at seniors, I remember a senior once had said, hi, I mean, did that be up the hallway? Bro, I was like, no way, like, this is what someone I looked up to, but he came down to my level. It was just a hi. It wasn't anything crazy.
Right.
But those small acts of kindness that I'll remember for the rest of my life. That one senior I thought was cool, he said hi to me.
Literally.
And I remember that my whole life. And so I remember back when I was a senior, I would tell a couple freshmen, hey, what's up, bro? You know, just give them a dap up. You know what I'm saying? Just because I remember how impactful it was to me. And I think that we all have a chance to be a senior and dap up a freshman, said someone, hey, be an encouragement. You know what I'm saying? I think a different time senior had followed me on Instagram, bro. Man, I felt sweet. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, man, we all have this opportunity to be a senior to a freshman, dap them up, to tell them hi, give them some encouragement.
Literally. And I would even build off of that. Like, it doesn't have to just be the freshman. It can be about anybody. It can be the least of these. Just like anybody who's maybe doesn't have the intention, bro. Give them a hey, man. Show them, like, how Jesus says, I've come for the least of these, man. I come for the beggars, the lame, the blind, people who cannot see, all these things. I came for them, man. And so if we have that heart posture of us where we're going out into the world looking for the least of these, man, and trying to build them up and lead them in the light and the reflection that Jesus Christ has placed inside of us, then ultimately, man, people look at that character and they aspire to be that. And now, guess what? They're looking for the least of these and the least of these, and now that spreads as a domino effect, man. So if we place, you know, the burden on ourselves, like, let me go take the initiative to talk to somebody who may not be talking to anybody, or, you know, in these settings in my workplace where this person is often really quiet, kind of find out why, and then, you know, develop that relationship, build that rapport, and see where that can go by you just being available and present for them.
And I think even to hit back on that senior freshman analogy, I think, you know, you have a senior and a freshman, but they all went to the same school. It's the same playing field. And like you said, it is anybody, right? It can be a sophomore, junior, like it's anybody, because at the end of the day, right, when they came to that school's consensus, each person counted as one, you know what I'm saying? The seniors were not doubled because they were in a higher social hierarchy, you know, they higher up in the social hierarchy. It was like, man, like these are one person. It's the same thing with those freshmen as well. So it's like, man, like even if you're a leader, you know, somewhere, like you're not above anybody else. Like you're still, you're the same as the least of these who you look at, you know, so just like we're all in the same playing field at the end of the day.
Yo, he said something I want to hit on, 2 words, heart posture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think of every topic that we mentioned here, you know, being a leader, being a senior, to a freshman, the lessons that you learned up in your year. I think all of it comes down to your heart posture. Your heart posture, you're going to be a better person who leads because you got a heart for those that are under you, even though it's the same lead. Being a senior with the freshman, heart posture. Just on everyday life, man, what's your heart posture? Even being a Christian, bro, what's your heart posture? What was Jesus' heart posture for his people? That's where his heart was. And so I feel like a lot of us, especially me, have a heart for ourselves. But if we change our heart posture and have it for the other people, it'll be a game changer.
And one key thing that I'm so big on now is that, like, you know, that heart posture of like service to others that were in the same position that I was in, man. Because he talked about the freshman and the senior, man. But like looking up at the seniors, because like, oh man, I can't wait to be in like one day. But I remember having a conversation with the seniors, like, man, I remember I used to be in that math class. I remember I used to be in that geometry class. And like, here's what you need to do to be successful in that class. So while we have the platform that we have, man, we can come down to the level of people where they are, meet them and kind of give them some game. Like, hey, you know, I was looking for fulfillment in women. I was looking for fulfillment in money. I was looking for money and fulfillment in the alcohol and the drugs, and I didn't find it, bro. And you might be on that trajectory right now, but I can tell you this, man, like I found freedom in my relationship with Christ, and you also can find freedom in your relationship with Christ, calling upon his name.
Put it on Patreon, $6.99.
The price is way too high. You need to cut it.
I'll see y'all next week.
Cut it.
See y'all next week.
Cut it. Cut it.